many of us continue to say our prayers. There's a hero, a fighter, who just hopped out of a Suburban because he felt strong enough that he had to get here. It speaks volume of the man that he is. He's also chairman of the Conservative House Republican Study Committee. Without further ado, Majority Whip Steve Scalise.
Thank you so much. Appreciate all of you for coming out and for what this whole gathering is about, what Angel Families stand for. It's about getting back to rule of law. It's about securing America's border. It's about standing up with those families and praying with those families who have experienced tragedies. And Sheriff, for you and for all of our members of law enforcement, I thank you for your service. I would not be here today without the brave, heroic actions of law enforcement. The men and women in the United States Capitol Police, David Bailey and Crystal Griner, who risked their life to save mine and so many others, and what you do every day on the front lines, you and the other officers that are here. It's you who are keeping us safe in our communities. And too often the laws of this country prevent you from doing your jobs properly, the way you want, the way you were elected. Our communities just want to be safe. We ought to have laws that not only allow but support law enforcement in their efforts to keep our country safe. And too often we've seen the breakdowns, the loopholes in our immigration laws that don't allow our country to get to that rule of law, that border security that President Trump has made such a hallmark of not only his campaign but of his administration. I'm proud to work with President Trump as we try to secure our border and get back to a system of immigration that respects the great history of this country, a history of immigrants who came here legally to be part of the American dream and to respect the laws of this great nation. And so when we see these breakdowns, we've got a couple of bills that are moving through Congress today. And I first want to give my prayers to Marianne Mendoza, who helped organize this, as well as Michelle Root, who lost their children to people who came here illegally and then killed their young kids. This shouldn't happen in America. And yet when you look at what happened with Michelle and her daughter Sarah, Sarah was killed by somebody who came here illegally, and then after they killed her, they were allowed to get out on bail. And of course, once they posted bail, we haven't seen them again. I'm a strong supporter of Sarah's Law, a bill by my colleague Steve King, which makes it clear that if somebody comes here illegally and commits a crime of bodily harm, that they're not going to be released. They're going to serve their time and then they're going to be sent back to whatever country they came here illegally from, because America is about rule of law and about opportunity and about the American dream. People that want to come here and seek those same opportunities that so many generations before have been able to experience. And when we don't get to rule of law, it just breaks down what works about our society. Let's keep in mind, America is the most generous country in the nation, in the world, when it comes to immigration. In America, we let more than 1 million people come to our country legally. No other nation is close to us. Yep. So for people who are saying this is about just closing our borders, it's not about that at all. It's about getting back to rule of law and securing our borders. Because there are countries who are sending people here to do us harm. Every year, ICE agents stop terrorists from coming into the United States illegally. Those ICE agents ought to be supported in doing their job to keep this country safe. And while it shouldn't even be a debate, unfortunately, there are people in this town that want to abolish ICE. Just think of how ludicrous of an idea that is. I mean, ICE agents alone, last year, ICE agents saved more than 900 kids, young children, from human trafficking and sexual assault. Wow. And yet there are people in this town who want to get rid of those ICE agents. No, they saved and stopped and prevented drug dealers from bringing in all kinds of opioids that are plaguing every community in this nation. And they want to get rid of those ICE agents. So while it's important that we reestablish rule of law and get back to a country that respects our borders like every other nation respects theirs, we also need to fix those loopholes that are preventing our Department of Homeland Security in instances that have already been cited by Secretary Nielsen, that make it hard for her to actually send somebody back to their country if they come here and commit violent crimes against American citizens. So let's get back to rule of law. Let's get back to a country where, if you look at the Statue of Freedom right behind me, all the things that are great about America, the openness in the people that we welcome to become part of the American dream. We're still that great, generous nation, but we're also a nation of laws. And we need to get back to rule of law as well. And unfortunately, we've gotten too far away from that. So I appreciate what y'all are doing to be here today. Again, I thank our law enforcement officers that are here, those brave men and women who are keeping our community safe. We need to stand behind them. We need to stand behind our ICE agents and get back to a country that secures our borders and secures our communities and our men and women who just want to be safe and go about their daily lives. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much.